how much thread each process has, the process ID, and the so-called space ID. We will see it later that the space ID is important for debugging because the debugger uses the space ID as an identifier to the process. You can even have a more detailed look upon one process, for example the IO USB. So if you double click on it, you get a little bit more information about it, for example the arguments or a list of threads for this process, the relationship, the addresses, and which libraries this process uses. You can even have if you right click onto this magic, you get a local menu, and to get more information, for example about display the process structure. If you want to have a detailed look into the internals, or load process symbols and add to watch processes, we will have a look at this later when we come to the process related debugging. Now the next display threads, will display all the threads that are running on the system, quite a lot. And here we are again with the magic. By the way, the magic is an ID for the debugger with which the debugger detects a specific object of the kernel. Then we have the name, this procNTO, which means kernel threads, and the process ID, thread ID, priority, the state of each thread, on which CPU the thread is running. Here we have an SMP system with 2 CPUs, so you can see which thread runs on which CPU, and the owner process. And again we can click on the magic of a thread to get more info, for example of that thread, to get more information upon that thread. And also there is a local menu with some items. Again we will have a look at it at the local menu if you do a closer look at how to debug processes and threads with Trace32. Another display is the pidgin command, which you probably know because this looks like the pidgin command from QNX. Just if you type it into the terminal window, the pidgin command, you will see the same information. But in this case, again, we just read memory, while the pidgin command of course runs some code on the target to get all the information. We just read memory and interpret the memory structures to display that information. So no pidgin code is actually executed, we just read and interpret memory to display this. And you probably know also the pidgin flags command and the pidgin family command, which is just the same information that will be given if you run that command in the terminal window. Another window that is important for the awareness, which is not in the menu actually, is the task dot. So it should be in uppercase. By the way, uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter. It's just an information for you for the short and the long version of the command. So we do task.list, and it's another display of all threads in this case, but this list shows the tasks known by the debugger. The debugger maintains an own list of all tasks, or in this case, in QNX case, threads, so that it knows the name, the ID, and some other information for each task. So for example the magic, here we are again the magic, and the name of each task, and the space ID that is attached to that task. The important thing is that the debugger, whenever it uses some task names or some task IDs or whatsoever, it uses this list. So if there is a mismatch for a task name, for example in the trace list or wherever, take a look at this list. If the attachment of the task name to this magic or the task name to the space ID is correct. So this is the internal list of the debugger to handle all the information. For you, as a user, for the usage is more interesting the display threads command, which shows the information quite the same way as the QNX does. This is everything about the resource displays. Let's open a few. That one, that one, that one, so you can have a look at every list. And one important information is that these windows are updated permanently, so if there is a change while stopped, you will see it instantly. You don't have to update it manually or something like that. It's just updated permanently. But of course, if the system runs and if you don't have access to the target, it won't be updated. So that's it for this short video session. A much longer video session will be the next one, because in this session I will show you how to debug processes and threads, and there's quite a lot of information then about how to debug processes with today's 32. So stay tuned for the next session.